lecture 3 for chapter 2 for class 8, that is microorganisms. In the first lecture we discussed about types of microorganisms. In the second we discussed about the useful microorganisms, and today we are going to discuss about harmful microorganisms. So we know that microorganisms friend and foe. So they are friendly also, but they are harmful also. So today we are going to discuss their harmful effects one by one. So the first one is microorganisms causes diseases. Microorganisms cause diseases. First of all, you should understand that disease-causing microorganisms are called pathogens, which are causing diseases in human beings, in animals, in plants also. So these are pathogens. But very important thing about microbial diseases are they are traveling their own, like they can travel or they can spread from unhealthy person to healthy person. So these kind of diseases are known as communicable diseases. The diseases which can transfer from healthy person to infected person to healthy person. So in this we study about communicable diseases. There are so many examples. Communicable diseases, why if we are suffering from cold, right? That's a communicable disease. So that is why I always advise whenever we are sneezing during infection, during viral, during we can say cold. So we should cover our face like mouth and nose with the hanky so that it cannot spread, right? Right now we are wearing the masks. So coronavirus is also a communicable disease because it is spreading from the infected person to healthy person. So that is a kind of communicable disease. That's why we are always advised to wear the mask whenever we are going outside. So these communicable diseases can spread from different ways. Like we can say they can spread, if I talk, why we are wearing masks these days? Because they can spread through air. We breathe. Right? Because if an infected person has passed nearby and then we are breathing in the same air, that's why then it will be spreading from there. Then it can also spread through water we drink. Clear? Because if the water is infected and we drink that water, then the disease will be spread to us. Secondly, through the food we eat, right? Thus, we can say the food is infected, then also it will be spreading. Then, through insects and animals. So you might be surprising that what is this? Insects and animals. So there are some disease causing microbes which move from infected person to the healthy person, right? And then they spread this disease. So these are called the carriers, common carriers, vectors. You can say vectors or common carriers. So what are these? A very common carrier that we all are aware about, there is a housefly. And another is mosquito. So housefly act as a common carrier of disease. We know that housefly like to sit over the waste, human excretory waste and dead decaying and matter. Always it sits on this kind of things. So if this housefly will sit on a food, then what will happen? The carrier or the pathogens will stick to its feet. When it will sit over anything like on the dead decaying matter like human waste also, So when it will sit, then the microbes will attach to its feet. Then when it will sit on the food or somewhere else, then it will transfer these pathogens, disease causing microbes to the particular thing. That's why we are always advised to consume the covered food. We should not consume the food which is provided in the streets by the street vendors. You might have seen they are not covering their food, and housefly is sitting on each and everything. So that we should not consume because it may prove dangerous, right? So that is why it should always be covered. Then on the other side we are having mosquito. In mosquito we are having two, especially one is MFS and another is AIDS. What are these? That is the type of microorganism. This is female MFL, which is responsible for causing malaria, right? Malaria is just transfer the one parasite, that is plasmodium, in the body of the person, and then the person will be suffered from malaria, right? And they always reproduce in the stagnant water, so we should not allow the water to stand, right? Then AIDS, this is responsible for dengue. Earlier we are all aware about that. Oh, there was a just crews and they were everywhere we were having a fear of dengue before corona, dengue virus. So that is spread by mosquitoes also, and at that time we were all advised to clean each and everything, even the pots, change the water, even in the water coolers, change the water, each and everything we have to change, right? That means we should not allow the water to stand. Okay, this is microorganism causing diseases in animals and plants also. As it is harmful or transferring diseases in human beings, it's same way creating the diseases and in the animals as well as plants. So in animals and plants there are number of diseases, right? The table is given in the NCERT book, so we can go through there. That is, we will understand this. Then very important part, that is harmful effect that microorganism cause food poisoning. Food poisoning is just like a disease. If anybody eat the spoiled food which is being spoiled by the microbes, then that person will be suffering from the food poisoning. So that person, if we can say vomits will start, watery stools can occur, then the person may even prove to the death. The death of person can be there if it will not be taken care at the accurate time. So I would like to tell you some bacteria responsible for this bacteria, right? In bacteria you can write the example which are responsible for. One is Salmonella, right? This is a bacteria which is responsible for. Next is Staphylococci. This is also a bacteria which is responsible for this. Next is Clostridium. These are the three bacteria which are responsible for the food poisoning. Same way we are having another microbe, that is fungi. In fungi, one is Aspergillus. You might have heard this name. That is Aspergillus, and then Penicillium also. Penicillium. So these are the microbes which are responsible for the disease causing, food poisoning, right? So these are the harmful effects. Now the question arises that how we can prevent ourselves from this food poisoning. Because if the food is spoiled, so how we can prevent very important and very crucial thing which we have to take care at home also, and even we are getting the food items by using this method, that is called food preservation. In food preservation means protecting the food from being spoiled by the microorganism, that is known as food preservation. So the three conditions in which microorganisms cannot grow. Microbes cannot grow in where? These three things, that is dry place, very low temperature, and at very high temperature. Very low temperature and at very high temperature. So these three things we can keep in mind while storing the food. So these are followed up. So by using this, there are some methods which are used to protect the food from being spoiled. The first one is chemical method. As from its name, it's clear that chemicals will be used to protect the food items from being spoiled. So they can stop, they can check the growth of microorganisms. So these are known as food preservatives. These chemicals which we are using in it, that are called food preservatives. So common food preservatives are, if in chemical method we are using food preservatives, so in food preservatives we are having different three main. One is sodium benzoate, one is citric acid, one is sodium metabisulfite. So these we can use. It was potassium metabisulfite. So these are the common chemicals which are used. So where are they used? Sodium benzoate, it is used for fruit juices, and squashes. Right? It is used to preserve them. Potassium and citric acid is used. Citric acid is used in confectionaries. Same way, potassium metabisulfite, it is used for preserving fruits, jams, jellies, etc. Fruits, jams, jellies, etc. So these are the chemical methods which can be used. Okay. Now the next one is preservation by common salt. Preservation by common salt. So you must be surprised at how common salt can be used. For ages people were just protecting the fishes and meat by using salt only. Only general salt they were using. Meat and fish are covered with common salt to prevent the growth of microbes. When they are covering this with the salt, then they will cover it. So salting draws out water from the food, thus prevents microbial growth and reproduction. Right? It is also used in preserving amla. Amla you might have seen. Raw mangoes, tamarind, even tamarind also some layer of salt is given so that we can protect it. Right. Then we have preservation by sugar. Even sugar can also be used because it reduces the moisture content. Sugar also reduces the moisture content, right? We can mention here, sugar also reduces moisture content. And we know that from this point, if the moisture will be reduced, that means conditions will be dry and it will not be helpful for the reproduction for these microbes. Then next we have prevention by oil and vinegar. Prevention by oil and vinegar. That is very common activity. At home, pickles are always stored in the oil. Why? To store them, to use them for 1 year, for 2 years. So if we are keeping it inside oil, so then they will not be spoiled by the microbes. But if we will keep it outside, then it will definitely spoil. Right? Then next, we have pasteurization. Pasteurization. In this process, what we used to do is a process for preserving milk. The milk is heated up to 70 degrees Celsius for 15 to 30 seconds. Then it's immediately chilled and then it is stored in the packets. Right? And then we can utilize it. That is pasteurized milk. Louis Pasteur in 1862 discovered this. We can mention the name. Louis Pasteur in 1862 discovered it. Then by cooling or freezing also. This is also, you might have seen frozen items we are using at home, right? They are stored at very low temperature to keep them safe, to protect them from the microbes to spoil. Then we have preservation by heating. Preservation by heating, we know that whenever we get the milk from the milkman, your mother might be boiling it, heating it. Why? To keep it safe for longer time, so that we can utilize it longer time. This is the meaning of preservation by heating, right? Then also from by dehydration. Dehydration, we know that by reducing the moisture, that is known as dehydration. So dehydration, and even if we want to protect the food items, you might have seen the chips, kurkure which are coming available in the market. So they are always stored in the air, in the envelopes having some air. This air is nitrogen. It will not allow the microbes to grow. We can use the airtight containers also, in which the air will not be allowed to enter, because they always grow when they will get oxygen. If we will stop, if we will control the supply of oxygen for them, no air contact, then we can control the growth of microbes and we can save our food from being spoiled by the microorganisms. Right? So this is all for today's lecture. Thank you very much.